Now, after the tremendous success that President Trump and the National Guard have had in Washington, D.C., in case you don't know, in the last almost 25 days, Washington, D.C. has seen a record-breaking reduction in people's vehicles being taken, in unalivings, in all types of violent crimes, unlike anything they've ever seen in history. As a matter of fact, recent reports have said there's been as high as an 89% decrease in violent crimes in Washington, D.C. Now, in case you haven't paid attention, all you've seen is the lamestream left-wing radicals in the media and the politicians complaining until most recently, where Washington, D.C.'s own very far-left mayor, Muriel Bowser, came out publicly and thanked the Trump administration because of the results that they are having in D.C.
We greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. The most significant thing that we are highlighting today is the area of crime that was most troubling for us in 2023. Now, we have driven it down over the last years, but I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I can see it correctly. But for carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason.
Now, recently, there was one person who got boom, and guess what? Suspect apprehended right away, which is why you also hear, and in case you haven't, President Trump suggesting that they bring back the death penalty back in D.C. because it's not to really torture or hurt anybody, it's to detour criminals. Think about even right now, folks not going out trying to do what they would have done, over a month ago because they know what the potential repercussions are. But in these lamestream left-wing cities, they do cashless bail. Like somebody can really go out, pow somebody, whether they survive or whether they don't, and be released back into the public within a week with zero bail. And then being told, hey, just show up to court 9 months from now, a year from now, maybe even further than that. Why? Because of the crime rate, the court systems are backed up. Do you think this person is going to show up to court then? And even if they did, in the meantime, how many other people's lives and property are at risk of being taken? How many? But these lamestream left-wing extremists don't care until it happens to them. And even some of them in the media have been forced to come out. Now, in this video, we getting off into Chicago because due to the success, it's going right to a blue city, big blue city, maybe near you. And Chicago is next on the mark. Now, Brandon Johnson, in case you don't know, he is a former Chicago public school principal, former teacher. This man is the most dedicated to the Teachers Association mayor probably in the history of America. And I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know the actual date on that. This man has pumped hundreds of millions into the Chicago teachers pension funds. Literally was wanting to take out high interest loans to plug in previous balance gaps that Chicago's budget has. Begging Governor Pritzker, going to war with Governor Pritzker to get money to plug this gap not for students, for teachers' pensions. And guess what? Right now, Chicago is in a $1.8 billion deficit. And that's just for this year. That's not even thinking about 2026. And if you thought, and Lori Lightfoot was the mayor of Chicago prior, she was horrible. And nobody thought it could get worse than that. And they had another candidate. He was a white guy there in Chicago that really could have helped turn that city around. But nope. Brandon Johnson played the black card. And who else rocks an S-curl mohawk in 2025 as the mayor of a big city and has some of the most prejudiced policies you ever want to see? Let me go ahead and call him racist because his intention, he said flat out, was to hire only black. But guess what? It's not all black. It's only his special friends are black. But that's a whole nother thing. So in this video, we're going to get off into that. So recently what this man did is he grandstanded. He literally signs an executive order where he says to the president of the United States, hey, you can't deploy your federal agents that are already in our state. You can't deploy our National Guard and you can't come into my city, as if a mayor has executive order over a president. No, he just did this to do this press conference. Guess what? It's already happening. all they're waiting. They're literally standing by for when President Trump is going to call up and release the National Guard in the streets of Chicago. Now, if you're listening to the mainstream media and Brandon Johnson and JB Pritzker, you would think that nobody in Chicago wants this. In this video, not only am I going to show you that's the opposite, I'm also going to show you what type of radicalized stuff is spewing out of this man's mouth and what President Trump had to say about it. CNN goes out and they find this lady, and she's a little young black lady, and boy, they expect her to get ready to drop the hammer because they asked her a question about Trump, the National Guard, and Chicago. Check out this clip and what her response is.
My first reaction was that this is a good thing. I think that the governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago the way that we need.
The crime has dropped since 2024. Do you feel like the city feels safer?
No, not at all. No, especially with the police being defunded. My first reaction.
Now, I can guarantee you that CNN anchor did not expect that. You know how I know? Because she wouldn't have asked it. Because she ran with that same left-wing lie, which is, the numbers have gone down. They've gone down, just so you know, in case you don't. But if you're watching this, you're one of those intelligent people, so you probably already do. When they keep saying the numbers have gone down, they're literally judging the 2025 numbers to the 2023 numbers when crime was the most out of control in these left-wing deep blue cities. If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, because I will never ask you for a Cash App or for a super chat, because you hitting that like button, it helps the channel, helps get the information out there. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And then whether you're already subscribed or you're subscribing today, make sure that you hit that notification bell and then you select all, because YouTube has been having an issue with the notifications. But when you select all, that'll make sure that you get notified the next time I upload new videos. Not post-COVID, no, not pre-COVID numbers, not even not even pre-2023 numbers. 2023 when crime was at its peak, and it could go down 1.7%. Now, granted, if that's saving lives, that's a positive thing, but you get what I'm saying. But they'll run with that like as if, boy, you would have thought the Batman or the G-Men and everybody that came through and crime was just old ladies able to walk down the streets with their purses and all of that, the way they're touting the decrease. When no, and come to find out that they had stopped reporting violent crimes. And right now in DC, there have been commanders that are right now suspended because they were allegedly busted manipulating the numbers, misrepresenting. If that was happening in DC, we already know there have already been reports from law enforcement officials that have said in Chicago they're cooking the books. Now, in this next clip right here, we're going to look at this is another Chicago person. Now, the difference with this is from a woman who is associated with Chicago Flips Red. You see, the mainstream media tell it. They will have you believe that all the people in Chicago can't stand Trump. They hate Trump. They love Brandon Johnson. They love illegal immigrants, and that they are all left-wing, ignorant people who just are cruising for their own bruising, and that is a lie. They never take the real cameras in. But this right here is footage of Brandon Johnson and one of the Chicago residents who's affiliated with Chicago Flips Red. And you listen to what she says. And this is a black woman. So don't let the media or anybody else lie to you and make you believe that majority of the black people, not even majority of the black people, agree with Brandon Johnson, agree with the left-wing extremist policies. No, the gerrymandering there is just so heavy that it's condensed to the most ignorant, when I say ignorant, meaning lacking information, areas in the city. And they have the most voting power because it's concentrated. But check this clip out.
You will not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that on illegals. You campaign and double down that you will not raise property taxes.
I won't raise your property taxes.
You wanted to raise our taxes $300 million. They shut it down. Now we back here for $150 million. Okay. See, this is what we asking now. Since you want to crash out, some of y'all say y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example out this right here first. Please come here first. Don't spend our tax dollars to go. Michael Rodriguez, you said to take Trump to court to protect these illegals. That's cool because we about to make all of y'all aldermen famous. Y'all think this ass gonna rat? I think not. Look, Chicago will. We not playing.
See what I mean? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that are pissed off in Chicago. Now, in this next clip, what I want you to see, I want you to hear radical Mayor Brandon Johnson as a reporter asking this question. I want you to listen to what he compares President Trump and the National Guard being in Chicago too. And it shouldn't surprise you once you hear it, but it may aggravate you. That definitely annoyed me. Check this clip out.
All of this pushback against Trump, knowing how he responds to that, could actually provoke him to follow through with this talk about sending in the National Guard when yesterday he seemed to waffle. Could this make things worse, all this pushback?
Could you imagine if, as a descendant of slaves, if my ancestors would have had that same rationale? Let's not fight against the Confederacy. Let's just try to get along, and then maybe one day they'll give us our freedom. Nowhere in the history of America or the world where marginalized people have sat silent and idle, and they've been able to actually achieve justice and liberation. The fact that you have a unified front in Chicago, where we are rejecting the occupation by the military of our cities, that's actually fighting for our democracy. That's what's required in this moment. Leading in this moment takes a great deal of courage, but we stand on the shoulders of so many people that have come before us. We have seen these type of tyrannical acts before. One thing that we know for sure, when we fight back against tyranny, the people united always prevail.
To show you how delusional this man is, Brandon Johnson's approval rating is 25% right now, where he says the people are with us. No, they're not. He's making that up. Now, right here in this next clip here, I want you to pay attention to what he says, and you tell me if this is a dog whistle or not. And look at the network that it's on. Now, the effect of the name change will take, I think, in the next couple of months. But when you see and hear MS Now, that is nobody other than MSDNC, because they had to strip the NBC from their name. But check this next clip out right here, and you tell me what you're hearing him say and do.
And so, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action. But the people of this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city. And so, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action.
Now, you tell me whether that sounds like a dog whistle and a call for violence from radical people there in Chicago. But this type of thing that they do, this is what the Democrats do. And then they try to call foul when things go sideways and somehow try to blame it all on Trump. When this man literally just said, hey, I believe the people there know what to do. They're known for fighting back against tyranny. What does that even mean? That's the president coming in to clean up your streets to help your people be safer. But this is the type of radicalism that the Democrats create. And then they lose control of it. But then it's the citizens that have to pay for it. Now, in this next clip, we're going to hear what President Trump has to say in response to the radicalism of Brandon Johnson. Check this next clip out.
Brandon Johnson vowing legal action if National Guard troops are deployed to Chicago, saying the president is trying to sow division in Democratic-led cities.
What the president is claiming that he wants troops to do, they don't even have the authority to do it. They have no arresting powers.
The mayor responding to President Donald Trump, who said he'll be expanding National Guard deployments to cities other than Washington.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this.
The president's Oval Office comments come as Chicago police data shows overall crime since the first of the year is down 13% compared to the same period last year, and violent crime is down 23%.
I think he wants to provoke violence, because if he can provoke violence, then it's going to be martial law.
Didn't I tell you that's what they're going to do? They're going to say Trump was trying to provoke it.
Turning the federal military on American citizens is a sign of authoritarianism.
The president claiming many in Chicago want the Guard.
Screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago.
Thank you, President Donald Trump, for hearing us.
Zoe Lee and Daniel Carter Walters founded the conservative group Chicago Flips Red and says despite CPD's numbers, many don't feel safe.
And if the Democrat Party, only thing they can do to help us is tell us crime is down, then hey, we welcome the National Guard.
The president did not say exactly when he might deploy the Guard to Chicago. The Illinois National Guard says it has not received any orders for such a mission. And in Johnson,
and as you saw, that was the same lady who in the Chicago City Council meeting was going at it with Brandon Johnson. You know what that should show? President Trump listens. This black woman in Chicago at a local council meeting that started a conservative movement that has grown tremendously in Chicago. Chicago, I'm not saying Chicago is going to flip red because there's a whole lot of uneducated people there. Not saying that at all. But it can sure enough increase the odds of some of them council seats becoming conservative, for some things to start shaking up there, for some people, the eyes to be open. And who knows, within time with the terrible leadership of Brandon Johnson, we could, but there's a lot of work to do there. But But the fact that President Trump listens, he heard that woman, but yet the Democrats want to tell people he's racist, he's prejudiced. Bull crap. Bull crap. So let me get back to this article real quick. Let's run through this. So Chicago's far-left mayor Brandon Johnson signs protective order to try and block Trump's National Guard deployment, vows to take any action necessary. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson signed an executive order on Saturday titled Protecting Chicago Initiative, aimed at preventing the potential deployment of the National Guard by President Donald Trump to address the city's rampant crime issues. Johnson, a far-left Democrat, claims the order is necessary to defend residents' constitutional rights amid fears of what he calls an unconstitutional and illegal military occupation. The executive order comes as the Trump administration considers using Naval Station Great Lakes, a naval base near Chicago, as a staging ground for immigration enforcement operations involving more than 200 Department of Homeland Security DHS agents. Trump has been vocal about addressing Chicago's crime woes, recently stating after deploying the National Guard to Washington, D.C., that his team would straighten out Chicago next, calling it a mess under an incompetent mayor. The city of Chicago would do everything in our power to defend our democracy and protect our communities. With this executive order, we send a resounding message to the federal government. We do not need nor want an unconstitutional and illegal military occupation of our city, Johnson said in a statement. He is such a joke. And even in the press conference, I'm not going to even waste your time in showing you that. They all wore black like they were going to a funeral as he was signing that executive order. And he started off like, I did what I just didn't want to do. I didn't want to have to do this. He pushed me to this, as if he just did some hellified stuff that's really going to block something. But there's an ignorant person. Remember, ignorant only means lacking knowledge, and it's colorless. There's an ignorant person sitting there saying, right on, look at him fight. And that's what's scary. That's what's terrifying. We do not want military checkpoints or armed vehicles on our streets, and we do not want to see families ripped apart. We will take any action necessary to protect the rights of all Chicagoans, the mayor continued. Protecting Chicago is the next step in the work we have been doing to defend our city from federal overreach and illegal action. The Chicago Sun-Times reports, according to the initiative, the Chicago Police Department will remain a city agency and urges federal law enforcement to abide by city laws on policing. Johnson threatened legal action if they didn't. Wow. This would include barring offers from concealing their identities with masks, making them use active body cameras during engagements, and requiring them to wear identifying information such as badges and uniforms, also stating CPD will not work with federal or military units in the city. Wow. So that means that any city officials that want to do work with them have to show their face, wear a name tag. In other words, mark themselves. That is, oh God, that is so social. That's so evil. The order reaffirms that the Chicago Police Department will stay under local control and explicitly calls on Trump to stand down from any National Guard threats. I do not take this executive action lightly. This is what he was doing in the press conference. I do not take this executive action lightly, Johnson said. I would have preferred to work more collaboratively to pass legislation. But unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of time. We have received the credible reports that we have days, not weeks, before our city sees some kind of militarized activity by the federal government. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, another Democrat, also opposed federal intervention despite Trump's success in Washington, D.C. White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said in a statement to News Nation, if these Democrats focused on fixing crime in their own cities instead of doing publicity stunts to criticize the president, their communities would be much safer. Cracking down on crime should not be a partisan issue, but Democrats suffering from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, are making it one. They should listen to fellow Democrat Mayor Muriel Bowser, who recently celebrated the Trump administration's success in driving down violent crime in Washington, D.C., Jackson said. Bowser recently praised the Trump administration's success in reducing violent crime in the nation's capital after similar federal actions. So there you have it. So you got Brandon Johnson coming out there signing an executive order, in other words, barring the Trump, banning the president and the National Guard from coming into Chicago. Because it's perfectly safe. He got it under control. He got this. Even though, countless people lives have been taken during the time of me making this video. That's what's sad. There's been a violent crime that has happened in Chicago during the time it took you to watch this video. Allegedly. Just in case I'm off by a second or two. These nut jobs are real out there when they're looking to catch you slipping. So allegedly. But you and I both know what's going on. So, listen, I just wanted to bring you that update. The president is going into Chicago, and those loudmouths, J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson, the worst mayor in America. Now they got to put up or shut up. Because you know our president, he's gonna call a bluff, and rightfully so. If it saves lives, you know what F them. If it saves lives, F them. But hey, listen, I appreciate you for watching. I want to say thank you from the top and the bottom of my heart for taking time to watch this video. If you haven't liked it already, please hit that like button. If you aren't subscribed, subscribe. And most importantly, make sure that you be safe and you stay great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.